Williams.
Third year.
Got it. Third year, my third year in Keller Williams. And I transferred from Fort Lauderdale. I started off in Fort Lauderdale. I had a great time up there. The crew up there is absolutely amazing. But I transferred to Aventura because it was closer to my property management office here in Hollywood because I wear a lot of hats. But the short version is that I came over here. I met Lee. I met David. David was one of the first agents in the office that I met. So you'll often hear me tease David that I keep chasing you. I believe in the beginning of the year, I made a joke, and it was kind of a joke, but I think it worked out, right, David? I told David, I kept saying to David, I'm chasing you, man. I'm going to catch up to you. I'm going to catch up to you. And I think, not to brag, brother, but I think I passed you in August.
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't been looking at the numbers, but I know you've been rocking it, man. I'm proud of you, man.
Yeah, and I don't. And full disclosure is I don't pay much attention to the numbers on a daily basis, not as I should. John Dietz got on me the other day because I don't really pay attention to my numbers. If somebody says to me, now I know today because Lee told me to make sure that I know. It's so much about helping people. For me, it's how many people can I help today? Everything else is a byproduct. You'll hear me preach that over and over again.
Yeah. So, and what I want everyone on this call to see and feel is the energy, just the vibe. These are two guys that are really in competition with each other, in competition with you as an agent, and yet you can have so much fun together if we look at this as that there's an abundance of business. This is all about us getting better, learning from each other, and the way that we get better is that we share so that we remember what it is that we do anyway.
It's funny you said that, Lee, because, one of the things John teaches is make this a game. Not that it's not serious, so please don't misunderstand, but make it a game. And it's like a scorecard. Every time I take a phone call to set an appointment, 20 conversations a day is a standard. It's a minimum. If I don't have 20 conversations, I'm not going home. It's just not happening. And I keep score of how many conversations versus appointments, and then those appointments and how many listings and so on and so forth. So it is a game. And yes, we're all in competition. I can tell you, David will agree. David and I have been trying to do a deal together for like 2 years. I show his properties, he shows my properties. We get listings, and we always announce it to the board before we put it on the market. It hasn't happened yet, but it's going to happen. And it is. It's just funny, and we're not competing. We're not even marketing the same markets. Mm-hmm. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and definitely hit the, it's a friendly competition. I mean, we are in competition, as everyone says, but we have to find ways to make it fun. And, there's having that abundance mindset there's enough business out there for everybody, and it's fun seeing everyone else succeed and while we're having our success as well. Well,
and the reality is an agent on this call or that's listening to the recording can I get in this spotlight too? I don't even know what I'm doing here, so I'm just gonna stay. I don't think you guys see me. You might. Does anyone else see me? No.
Yes.
You do. Perfect. Okay, so I am still part of a screen, right?
Yes.
Perfect. Oh, perfect. And so there's agents on this call or that are watching the recording, and they sit on an island. Whether they come into an office or they don't come into an office, whether they feel comfortable networking with other real estate agents, or they feel that being on their own is to their benefit. What I'm hearing the two of you say is that healthy competition, sharing, collaborating breeds more business. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, 100%.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So let's I want to unravel a little bit of what you said, Lance, but first I really want to set the tone for those that are on the call right now of really the shoulder of giants that everyone on this call is really listening to. And I don't say that lightly because I've watched the two of your businesses bud, mature, grow, and it's not all rainbows and unicorns. It hadn't been. And yet today we can celebrate a little bit. We can brag a little bit, and yet we can deliver amazing content that's already brewing inside both your heads. So let's catch everyone up with where you guys are year to date, because today is the last day of the third quarter. We in real estate, those that are highly successful, understand that the fourth quarter is the most important quarter of the year. And yet, where are we at year to date through today? And then we'll talk about where we're going quarter four. So let's talk closed and pending and volume, or however variation you guys want to share.
Okay, cool. Want me to go first, Lance, or you got it?
Yes, sir. Please.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, year to date, I just remember today is actually the last day of the third quarter. And I didn't pull up my numbers, but I do know that currently we have 33 closed units, I believe, and I think another 11 pending. So closed and pending year to date is about 44, which is about a couple more than what we did last year. So we're already past that. And on volume, I believe we're at around 13, 14 million closed and pending. So we're up about already 40% on our closed volume, and we're up only a couple units on the units because we've been seeing our price point increased a lot this year. And my coach actually has me studying as to why is that happening, and to work on getting more high price listings, because that is the goal at the end of the day, and to go out and increase profits and get higher price listings. So closed and pending, we're at 44 units year to date and 14 million in volume.
And that's up 40% year over year, give or take, on volume.
Correct, yes. And we're expecting to get very close to 20 million by the end of the year.
On pace for 20 mil. Awesome. Lance, you're up.
So as of yesterday, I had a total of closed transactions of 32.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
I have 2 closings today. As a matter of fact, one is funding right now, and the other one's going to fund at 4 o'clock this afternoon. We've already done the walkthroughs. All the documents are signed, buyer's money if they're in. So that would put me at 34.
Mm-hmm.
I have a closing tomorrow. And I also had that rental listing that Sue will probably mention later today is actually already closed, and we're doing the walkthrough and handing over keys tonight.
Nice.
So that would be a total of 3 closings today, 1 tomorrow. So I'm starting off the fourth quarter already with a closing.
Yep.
That would put me at what, 36, give or take?
Give or take.
Give or take. And my total volume is, I'm actually $1,650 away from 7 million.
Okay.
And that was as of yesterday, because the lease alone today is gonna put me at 7 million. What I want to brag about, though, if I may,
Please.
is in the beginning of the year, I had a meeting with Lee, and he helped me set goals.
Mm.
And my goals for this year were 24 total transactions. David's laughing, right? So 24.
I'm happy to hear that you exceeded it, man.
24 transactions, but I did 26 last year. But here's what I want to stress. 24 transactions, but my goal was to have 12 of them listed sales,
right,
and 12 of them buyer sales. I didn't even include rentals into that
right,
equation. And as of yesterday, I had a total of 22. So I'm going to hit my goal by the end of today. It will give me my 24 sales transactions,
mm-hmm,
not including rentals. And both of the closings today were listings. So I've made my goal, and I still got a quarter left to go.
So Lance, let's talk about that. So you set 24 closings as your goal at the start of the year. You've hit it now. Why not just stop working? Like, why not just take the rest of the year off?
Wow, that's a deep question. I have many answers for that.
Yeah.
Number one, because I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, and I'm not ready to retire.
Mhm.
Number two, I'm not ever going to stop helping people. And if I take the rest of the year off, that's that many more people I'm not going to help this year. Number three, I'm a father of 5 children, and no matter what ages they are, anybody who's a parent knows that you never stop supporting your children. Number four, any day now I'm going to be a grandfather. I mean, I can keep going.
I know it, and that's why I asked you the question, because the reality is you started this conversation with, hey man, I set a goal and I worked every day towards that goal, and now I hit my goal, which means now I get extra credit. Now it's all confidence building. Now I'm building deeper embedded systems so that next year, my body, my brain, my family understands what intensity is necessary to get to 36, to get to 46 transactions. And you answered it all the right way because it's your reality.
And I'm sure he's following a schedule. You know, at the end, it's not about, it's not about selling real estate. It's about following a schedule. And even if you exceed the numbers, that doesn't mean the game stops. In a football game, you can be up 40 points, and you still have to keep playing till the end of the game. So the game is never over, and you just have to keep, the wheels turning. And once you have that momentum, it's not smart to stop at all. Lee told me once a couple of years ago when I first joined, and I told him, hey, I got 2 listings this week. You're like, oh, when is the best time to get another listing? And it's like right after you got
you got the listing. Yeah.
So it's the best time to get another deal pending or get another listing. Is like you just got to keep going. And at the end, we can focus on our goals, or we can just focus on the families that we're helping. And it's not about the numbers at the end of the day. Yes, it's cool. And at the end of the day, it's all about helping the families get what they want, and and serving at the highest possible way.
Yeah, I love that. And so you guys summarized up so you guys can see that who you're hearing from. And mind you guys, there's going to be a Q&A at the end. So if there's any questions that are brewing up, write them down so that in a couple minutes, when we kind of close this out, you'll be able to ask questions and have a quick Q&A now that you're in arm's length of these 2 rock stars. So jot down questions that you may want to ask. I'll be opening this up for a Q&A. So Lance, you put out there 20 contacts, and you put out there John Dietz. What is the opportunity that our agents have to be coached by John? Every agent on this call. What is the opportunity? What does that look like? And what exactly does 20 contacts a day? So answer first, who is John and what is the opportunity that has touched both of your careers? And then close it out with this whole 20 contacts and where does that come from?
So John Dietz is the Lee Rosa of Coral Springs. And I'm not sure exactly how he falls into the Waxman group, but I know that he's our team leader in Coral Springs. In fact, let me clarify something for every agent that's on this call that's part of the Waxman group. I don't know if you all realize how blessed you are, and I'm almost positive that many do not realize we are not one office. We are not just Keller Williams Elite Properties in Aventura. We have a and I say we, because Alan told me personally, when I switched to Aventura, he came up to me and said, don't you ever stop coming to Fort Lauderdale, and you make sure that you use every one of our offices as if they're your own. So we have an office in Coral Springs, Fort Lauderdale, Aventura, and Boca Raton, right, is where the other Richard's other office is.
Let's keep going.
So that's number one opportunity. But back to John Dietz. John Dietz, he's an author. He's our team leader in Coral Springs. every single morning at 9 a.m. via Zoom or live in the office. He has what's called Survive to Thrive.
Yep.
And it's a half-hour coaching call that agents from around the country attend. And then immediately following that, he has a script and role play that he allows anybody that's on the Survive to Thrive call can stay on the Zoom call for his in-person script and role play that happens every morning at 9:30 in Cold Springs.
So that is access, guys, on our training calendar. You just click the link, join the Zoom every morning at 9 a.m. Well done, Lance, just as we rehearsed it. Just as we practiced it. Cool. So let's now dive in. We're going to be talking about a course that everyone on this meeting has an opportunity to invest in. Many of you have received calls from Agendi over the last couple days, and the two of you guys, Lance and David, the second I brought up Bold, you guys lit up. You said, hey, yeah. And so
We met in a Boulder, yeah.
right? And
We
so
did. We met in the ballroom. Yep.
the two of you guys have very different experiences, two different stories, and yet when you heard Bold is back, you jumped right in. I'm going to start with you, David, and there's your story in my amateur opinion is summarized by a historic lesson called Burn the Boats. And if you guys haven't ever heard of the history lesson of Burn the Boats, Google it, look it up. It is a true story of a conquistador and a conqueror, and a exercise that he performed as a leader with his army. And so, David, talk to me about what Bold has done for you and why it has made the impact that I beautifully have observed for you.
Thank you, Lee, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, my story is, I mean, I was not in the same position that I was before I took my first Bold. I just want to tell everyone that now. Everyone sees these numbers, they look very attractive, they say it must be nice. And let me tell you that this has been years in the making. You know, as for those of you that don't know, when I first joined Keller Williams, I think I was selling about 2 or 3 million a year in volume.
Something like that.
And you know, I'm also a father of 2. I also have a wife and a family and a family to support. And when I first heard about Bold, I was very hesitant. I thought it was a lot of fluff, and I actually paid for Bold for me and my wife with our mortgage payment, which was the last bit of money that we had. And you know, we're like, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna commit to it. You know, the worst that can happen is that we'll be late on it. You know, whatever. And you know, we just needed a change. We needed something different. We really needed commitment, and that was the best decision we ever made, because we went into Bold with an open mind. We went into Bold being coachable, into implementing new habits, which is what Lance was mentioning about the 20 contacts. I've had that as a habit that got installed within me ever since Bold. So it's like, if I don't make 20 contacts in a day, I don't feel normal. It's like, I feel like the day was a failure. So I want to make sure that either if it's through my prospecting, either through social media, if something comes up with the kids and I'm at a doctor's appointment, I'm texting social media, texting people through social media, making sure I get those contacts in whatever way. But to go back to when I first signed up to Bold, we signed up with the last bit of money that we had, and we went on to make, I think, over 150,000 in the next 12 months. And that was, you know, all through Bold. They got the habit instilled within me just to open on my phone, call contacts, call people. And that's what this business is all about. And that's what it taught me. It taught me that this is just a belly to belly business. You have to communicate with people every day. And if nobody's hitting their numbers, it's simply because you're not talking to enough people. And that's what Bold taught me.
I love that. And what I want you guys to hear in that is David went in with reckless abandon. There was no alternative. It is, I am going to invest the $799. I know the company is going to reimburse me 100% of that, because I'm going into this to make money. I'm going into this to put deals together. and him and his wife went full in. Not only did you go full in, you went back-to-back bolds, right?
Yeah, we went back to back. Yeah, we went
Yeah.
to both bolds.
Went to a 7-week, then took like a couple weeks off, and then went right back into a second one.
Yeah.
And your business never was the same.
Never. It was never the same. And even though I wasn't seeing the results in that exact moment, because my production did take a couple months to kick in and bringing deals in, however, just keeping that habit of 20 contacts every day, role playing, and just doing the activities every day that I'm supposed to be doing. And, when you have a coach that's there every week teaching you what to do, that's another thing it taught me, the importance of having a coach, the importance of having somebody pushing you and getting on a call with you every week to making sure that you're on track to hitting your goals. And yeah, I mean, it's an investment. It's not something that you're going to spend. And if you're really committed in the business, you're going to see that money back tenfold, 100%.
I love that. And Lance, what does bold mean to you?
So very similar to David, when I came to KW simply because of the opportunity to obtain education. No other brokerage provides education like this, like we do. Every hour on the hour, there's a class. Yeah. And in my first year, I wasn't as productive as I wanted to be. And I own other businesses. Some of you know the story, but bottom line is that my businesses were working me, and I was broke and working literally 100 hours a week. And, my wife's our bookkeeper, and everybody else would get paid before me. And at the end of the week, we're like, we can't even go to the movies because all of our money's on the street waiting for other people to pay us. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way. This is crazy. And Victoria Gordo, who was my productivity coach at the time, she's like, look, you're working so hard and you're mistaking movement for achievement, which is a bold law. And she introduced me to bold. And I even said to her, I'm like, Victoria, I don't have any money. I'm afraid. And she said, do you trust me? And I said, yes, of course. She says, just trust me on this one. Give me your credit card, put it on your credit card. Don't pay for it from your bank card. And I did. And I maxed. It was the last thing I could put on my credit card. It maxed it out. I went home that night, got into an argument with my wife because now we've got no reserves for emergencies because I just maxed out my credit card. And I attended my first bull. And I can honestly sit here right this very second and tell the world, I didn't pay for that bold. That bold paid for itself. I have never paid for a bold. Yes, I put a deposit down is what I call it. I'm putting a deposit down to get my seat at the table. And if you do what you're told to do and you just follow the instructions and you participate, when you do a closing, you get reimbursed. So that's the first thing, you get reimbursed. So after my first bold, and I did a couple of closings, and I would get my reimbursement, and I would get my check at closing, and I went home to my wife, and I shook the DA around, and I said, "Ha! Not only did I get reimbursed for my bold on all these transactions, but I made money at the same time, and now we can pay off the credit card."
I love that.
So that was just the first bold.
Right. And then
from the first bold to the second bold, I doubled my production, and every single time I take bold, my production doubles again. So
let's dive in there. I mean, look, you guys shared your production. There's no doubt that there's a catalyst that got you into momentum. So 90% of the people on this call have not experienced an in-person bold. And again, guys, BOLD stands for Business Objective, A Life by Design. That's what BOLD is. It is a course on how to generate business. What is your favorite part of the course?
Dave, you mind if I jump in?
Yeah, go ahead. You can go first.
My favorite part of BOLD is it teaches you how to get out of your own way. It teaches you to overcome fear.
I love that.
You might heard the saying, 10 minutes, 10 pounds.
What does that mean? 10 minutes, 10 pounds.
10 minutes, 10 pounds. As a realtor, you have a decision, right? Every time something happens, either you're going to make a cold call
Mhm.
to a prospective lead,
Mhm.
or you just obtained information regarding a closing and you have to make a phone call either to title, to your buyer, to your seller, whoever you're representing. It all revolves around the phone, right?
Right?
10 minutes, 10 pounds means for every 10 minutes you do not pick up that phone and make that phone call, it becomes 10 pounds heavier.
Ooh, I love that. All right, David, you're up.
That's good. I mean, my favorite part of Bold, I mean, as far as a whole of what I learned there is definitely, the mindset part. It teaches you how to move out of your own way, how to think bigger. But when you're in the program, my favorite thing while I'm doing there is, being in a table full of agents working together and working towards a common goal. Because in there we become one team, whoever's on that table. So I just really love the teamwork factor of in-person Bold. And the activities of when we write down, how we see each other on each other's backs. It might sound like fluff to everybody, but believe it or not, I still have mines on my wall from when Amber and everyone, what they wrote on my back. And when after Bold was finished, I kept looking at that every time I was prospecting, and it just kept instilling in my mind that I am a top producer, I am an MREA. And those affirmations just started becoming reality over time because they were always in front of me. So one thing that I took away from there is also the power of affirmations and how you look at yourself, which is be, do, have is my favorite Bold law, because I thought before that you had to have before you can be somebody, or you had to do something or do the activities to make you a good real estate agent. You first have to decide that you're the first real estate agent. Well, first burn the boats and decide that you're not going back, decide that you're going to be successful. And that changed me completely. It changed the way I think, and it changed the way I move completely.
I love this. I mean, hopefully you guys are feeling a bit of the mindset that it takes to succeed in this business. And we as agents have to constantly evolve our mindset to grow and become better leaders or better entrepreneurs or better salespeople to succeed. And so let's open this up to Q&A for a couple minutes, and then we'll dive back into the meeting. Does anyone have anything? You can either type it in the chat or just raise your digital hands and I'll call on you. It could be anything whatsoever, whether it's their business, their mindset, their lead generation, their experience with Bold. The floor is yours as an office to ask any questions that your heart desires.
Yeah, thank you, Lee. I'm an open book, so anybody that wants to ask any questions, feel free to do so.
Same here.
Yeah, I love that. I'm very grateful you guys took time out of your day. So with that said, guys, anyone have any questions for Q&A? How you participate here is how you participate everywhere.
I was just going to say that no one wants to ask any questions, but here's the reality of the situation, right? Is what's happening to David and I, and notice I'm saying happening because we're not over, we're not done, we're just getting started. This is a scratch of our surface. This didn't happen by accident. David and I are on every team meeting, if we can be, unless we're at a closing, where we participate in, look, I've been doing listings presentations for 3 years. I still pay gut on Eddie's call. I'm still on Survive to Thrive. I can't stress enough. You got to get involved. You got to participate. You got to stay in touch. Every day is a new lesson.
Brady has 6 rings and he still has a quarterback coach.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Well, and my favorite saying, those people that say, "Oh, it must be nice." Oh, you think this just happened? It must be nice. What, like it fell from the sky? It must be nice. No, it didn't must be nice. It's what we're putting into it is what we're getting back. There's nothing nice about this until come retirement day.
And we were saying a piece of our story earlier, Lance, when you were saying about how you put the payment on hold on your credit card, and I also paid like that's stuff that people don't see, you know. And I think there may be a lot of agents on this call that say, hey, let me get on this call and see what's the magic pill. And you got on this call today, so I can tell you there is no magic pill. You have to pick up the phone, you have to talk to people, learn the activity, learn the business, study your craft, and commit 100% to being the best that you can be.
Amen.
You know, and some people think I don't know. For me, look, I don't start my day lead generating for a 3-hour time block where I sit down at my desk and I pick up the phone and I rapid dial for 3 hours straight. That's just not me. That's not my personality. That's not who I am. That doesn't mean I don't start lead generating from the moment I wake up. But I do make phone calls. You're not going to not make phone calls, folks. That's just not okay. But what I'm trying to point out is to get to that 20 conversations a day, it doesn't only have to be picking up the phone and cold calling. You're at the grocery store, the person behind you. If you have a conversation about real estate, that's a conversation. I met a guy at Home Depot. I was buying a toilet repair kit for a property that I manage. And there was a person that was confused, and I spoke to him. I helped him out with the toilet thing, and he saw my shirt. Oh, you're a realtor? Yeah, I'm a realtor. And he says, oh, well, I might be looking to buy. Really? Well, now I'm working with that person. He's actually a renter. I helped him get pre-qualified, and now I'm working with that person to buy. So that was a conversation. That counted as my 20 conversations of that day.
Yeah.
So I don't think I have less than 20 conversations. I have more than that, because every single person that I come across turns into some kind of a real estate conversation, but it starts off with the Ford sandwich.
For sure. Family,
Occupation, recreation, dream.
So let's close out on this. Eddie asked a question. I kind of put everyone on the spot to see if somebody had a curiosity question, and yet I think everyone's kind of still shell-shocked. So Ella, let's go to Ella's question first, which is the magic bullet question. How long does it take you to really get into production? So David, why don't you hit that one?
Well, I mean, that all depends on your activities. That would be my answer. If how long, I mean, I think she's asking Lance specifically, how long did he take to really get into production?
I think it's a magic bullet question. So it's how long does it really get you into production? It goes back to, right, go ahead. It's a numbers game, right?
As fast as you want it to be. I mean, it depends what type of production you want to do and what numbers you want to hit, how much money you want to make. And then based on that, you would have to, dumb it down to what the activities would look like every day for you to get into that production. So if the production, let's say, is to get, one closing this month, you have to talk to people, and it's all about just making contact with people, and how many people you talk to will show how many deals that you would get or how many contracts you would get. Because if you track those numbers, you would see how many people you spoke to get one deal under contract, how many under contracts to get a closing, and knowing your numbers is a big part of that. So, I mean, that would all depend. And, the saying that goes around that, show me your schedule and I can show you, how many deals you're going to do and how much money you're going to make.
So Lance, here's another question. Scripts. So you were part of when I had the daily call every day, learning what to say. David, you and I coached. How important is knowing specifically what to say and how to handle what they say? Is it to success?
It's 100% related to success, because remember, the person on the other line is a salesman too. They're just trying to sell you out of getting that appointment or sell you out of getting that listing. It's like any other phone call. So scripts is extremely important. Let's dive into what really scripts is. Scripts is really learning how to overcome objections. Would you not agree, David?
Yeah, and learning how to ask good questions. Because that's all scripts really is asking good questions and when to ask those questions.
So sit on that for a second. Scripts are really just asking questions. So if somebody was to say, I don't follow scripts because I don't want to sound like a robot, what would you say about that?
I would say you're not practicing your scripts enough.
All right, David?
I would just say you're just telling, you're not selling.
Ooh. Okay. So,
Yeah.
so if you were to summarize the word scripts, what exactly does that mean?
Formula for success.
Okay. Yeah.
I would say is scripts to me is just asking great questions to make them self-discover that they want to do exactly what it is they want to do, or at least finding that out through following the script and exactly what their motivation is.
Yeah. It's efficiency. It's,
Learning how to have a conversation.
yeah. It's efficiency in conversations, asking great questions, being able to stay in control because time is money. And efficiency is profit, and your ability to ask great questions and help people self-discover. I think that's a good summary of the two of your answers to that. Wow. Was this a good use of our time today to come to the team meeting? Can we see some digital hands or those that are on camera? Was this a good use of our time? Cool. Cool. Awesome. Thank you guys. David, Lance, you guys rock. Literally, we could be here all day, but we got a few things we want to share here on the backside. Guys, I'm so grateful and look forward to amazing things through you at Bolt.
Awesome. And I look forward to seeing everybody else on this chat at Bold as well.
Likewise. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate you guys.
100%.